Good afternoon, everyone. Shane Jenkins here with another episode, a special episode, recording on a different platform than I'm used to. So if we have any technical difficulties, I take all the blame for it. But I have the honor and the privilege of interviewing my friend Annie Howe, known as Chatty Annie. And she is a character in a good way and a wonderful, wonderful lady who has been through hell and back. But, I got to spend the weekend with her in Pennsylvania. Spent the day with her, an evening with her at an event. And this is the first time we ever met. We've been talking, like just conversing back and forth for about a year. But it has just been, she has showed me so much on social media. And she always, this lady is so busy. And I'm talking about you like you're not here, but I'm going to do that. So she takes the time, like, because I don't have like a big following on Instagram or anything like that, but she takes the time to like share out my stuff and stuff like that. And it just has helped my following grow. And I can't express how much gratitude I have for her taking the time to give me a hand and teach me stuff and show me how to operate this TikTok live. But it's just been, I'm an oil field guy and a residential roofing guy. So I don't know a lot about technology, but I'm learning. And I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you. And it's a pleasure to know you and to call you my sister and my family, my fellow J6er, fellow patriot, fellow American citizen. I'm happy and I'm a better person for knowing you. So
Listen, I see the numbers you're doing now on IG and TikTok. Okay.
it's getting better.
Listen, you're doing phenomenal. Okay. You're about to blow up. I promise.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, like, this is my thing. This show, I try to use it as a platform. Really, I want people to have a record of what happened to us, and I know people are going to get tired of talking about January 6th. Hell, I get tired of talking about it. But I think it's important to have a record, like to say, like, this is Annie Howe. This is who Annie Howe was before January 6th. This is what happened that day. This is what she went through in the legal system and in her personal life as a part of that. And then I like to get into the next part, which is like where you're at now, where you're headed, what the goal is, what the mission, what the 5-year, 10-year plan is, like what you are going to do to not only in your personal life, your entrepreneurial life, but to keep this republic. And how, like, it doesn't have to be political, but I really just want people to see like a raw snapshot and insight into your life, which will probably be a great segue into talking about your book that's going to be coming out. So, so if you want to know like the even more insight, then you can buy the book. So we don't want to talk about all of it, but I guess I'll just start out by saying, who were you before January 6th? Had you always been political? Obviously you have a young one, and like if you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about personal, you can. If you want to leave it out, feel free to leave it out. But I just want to this is your opportunity as far as this interview is just to tell your side of the story. And I would like to know right now who you were leading up to January 6th.
Okay. So I've always been a good person deep down, but I think I was very broken for a long time, partly due to traumatic things in childhood and then through my teenage years and early adulthood. But I don't think that most people that meet me now would have wanted to meet me 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I was humbled by that whole experience, and I see why I needed to be humbled. And I will be the first to admit I was not always an angel. I was kind of an awful person. I lied, I cheated, I stole, I did all sorts of things, even before going to jail for J6 and like throughout parts of my life. But I was not political like at all until the 2015, 2016 election with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. That really opened my eyes and made me wake up more or less. But even growing up, I'll tell you that, I'll show you this. This is like kind of how I start my book. My mom, she was a very strong, very smart woman. She ran for public office when I was a child. And I saw how influential, how powerful, and how dangerous politics could be. Like, for example, I shared this in the speech the other night. We had a cinder block thrown through our window by the person that she was running against. And
Were you
either 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, you were little, yeah.
Yeah. And I canvassed with her. I went to these groups with her, but I just remember that incident. It stuck in my head clear as day. And then there was a man that was paid to urinate on her yard signs, which happened to be a veteran, which really baffled me. So anyway, she ran for Republican. She won. And, I also saw that politics were very just a part of life. I grew up in a small town, 44, Pennsylvania. So I went to this school district and I was a really good basketball player, but I wasn't getting started. I was being benched because my parents weren't friends with the coach. So I saw how influential it could be. You know, it's all about who you know. And that intrigued me. And so I started studying the Constitution. I started studying past administrations. I was always fascinated. Like, I always had a deep love for this country, always. 4th of July was always my favorite holiday. I always wanted to know a lot about George Washington and the founding fathers. I was a closet nerd. I would sit and watch documentaries about history while my friends were out, you know. So I just always was fascinated with it. And I always looked up to our founding fathers and just the amount of bravery and courage that that had to have taken. I think that many Americans take that for granted, like, because we're born free now. We're born free, you know, for the most part, except for taxes and stuff like that. But we're born free. So people that that never had their voice silenced or 2A taken away from them like we did, I should say, and their freedom and all those things. You know, it's like it's one of those things where you don't appreciate it until you lose it. But yeah, so that's a little bit of my backstory. And I got really involved in politics during 2015, 2016, not to the extent that I did in 2019. 2019 is when I started working on the campaign. I was out canvassing. I was signing up young voters. I was going to back the
And
blue rallies.
whose campaign was this?
It was Trump's. It was for the 2020 election.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Trump's election. No, I got started. I started my own business at the time, which was called Art Attack and Designs. And I got in with these people that were like running for state office and a lot of like local people running for office. And I was in charge of like making their websites, their yard signs, their buttons, everything having to do with advertising for the events. And during that time, the George Floyd stuff was going on, even before that. So there was a lot of back the blue stuff going on. And Eric was involved in a lot of that stuff. So I wound up winning this contest that it had to do with like signing up the most new young voters. Okay. So I got to go to this invite only special dinner with Eric. And that's where I met him. And that's where I kind of started working on the campaign and getting really involved.
So you, I mean, from a little age, like I can't imagine. I mean, I had some traumatic things happen. Funny, not to make this about me, but you were talking about not getting to play. I have a daughter and in Oklahoma City, and my daughter has been like in all these cheerleading camps and all these like, very highly competitive, very good cheerleader. And she went to a new school in Oklahoma City and there was 18 trying out and there were 17 spots on the team and she did not get selected to be on the team. And as a result, she attempted to overdose on pills and take her own life. So
Wait, what?
she, yeah, she took pills and tried to overdose herself. And
I'm so sorry.
no, it's just something that I mean, it's the same. When you said that, it just shot me to that, and I'm like, it's horrible. Like this is what people don't understand. I think is that our side would be we could meet somebody outside in the parking lot, and they could say like, "Man, I don't know about all this. I'm a Democrat, whatever." And then we talk to them, and they would be like, "You know what? You guys are right. I want to come over to y'all's side." Like we would be like, come on over." Like that's not the way they feel about us. Like the way they feel about us is what the government did to you and I. The way they feel about us is what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's how the way they treated you with the basketball team. The way they weaponized the coaching staff against you to hurt your family and you personally. To deny my daughter a spot on the team when she was clearly not the me or
I'm sorry.
I didn't know that was me. I was like, what is going on? But I wish it wasn't that way. I wish our side understood that this is truly, and I'm not saying that all people that are Democrats are evil. That's not what I'm saying. But at the core of it, like I can set my politics aside and sit
Mhm.
down with you if you have completely opposite views from me, which it's rare that you're going to find somebody that's completely like antithetical to everything that you believe. But to sit down and just like I don't have to. We can just sit down and if I was drinking, we could just have a beer. I'm not drinking anymore, but like, let's just have a conversation. Let's talk about the weather. Let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts or the Eagles or whatever. I don't care. Like I can put all that to the side, but to these people, I don't think to a specific group of people. I don't think they can talk about. So we're going to go to break here in just a second, and we'll come back and talk about what led you to January 6th and how that whole experience went. But we'll be right back with more Liberty's Cage right after
It's
this.
me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land. I've been there, I looked, I tried to see. Here I am in New York City, watching a nice sunrise. Not really. I'm in the warehouse. I'm telling you about a conservative organization, not the AARP loser, left wing. Forget about it. This is where you need to be. You get everything conservative menus. America.us/TAFW.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW, making travel great again.
Hey Patriots, we're excited to bring to you Sugar Creek Goods, all natural quality skincare products brought to you by great patriots like we are here. That's why we brought this into the America First Warehouse. All these great natural products are amazing, and you can get them on our website and go right to www.sugarcreekgoods.com/TAFW. These are phenomenal products. I love them all. And this one right here is for Patriot Pup. Thank you so much for supporting us.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
I'm Shane Jenkins, back with Liberty's Cage with Annie Howe. This is segment 2, and we were just going to get into kind of what led to January 6th and maybe get into some of that here. So I'll let you keep going because you're telling a really good story.
I just want to touch real quick on the last segment. You had said that you and I are conservatives as a whole are very accepting. If somebody decides to change perspectives, I can't tell you how wonderful of a feeling it is when like somebody that you've been around that is primarily a Democrat or a liberal is like, hey, I just want you to know you changed my perspective. That is one of the most rewarding things in this life, I swear to God. But you're absolutely correct. They all think that they put us in these boxes, which drives me insane. And it's a thing that humanity as a whole does, but people have to mature and realize that that's not good to do to people because they put us in these little boxes like, oh, you're a racist because you tried to overthrow the government and things like that. And they have really no clue why we did it that day. But anyway, so what led to J6 was I was very, very invested. As I said, I worked on the campaign. I was more or less, Shane, promised a job at the White House, not as a part of like the instrumental administration, but kind of on the sides, you know? So I really, really wanted him to win for that reason, but for our country too, for the future of our country, for my son's future. You know, as a conservative, I agree with his policies. And that being said, I got to witness things firsthand that a lot of Americans didn't. Eric Trump set up the hotline for the voter and election fraud. Most people in this country don't even realize that there's a difference between voter fraud and election fraud, but there is. And so I was the person that vetted the phone calls. I was the person that determined whether it was election fraud, voter fraud, or if it was just like nefarious activities. If it was something substantial, I brought them into the Republican headquarters in Lackawanna County, Scranton. They sat down, they wrote a testimony under penalty and perjury, and it was handed over to the correct people, attorneys. A lot of it went onto Hannity's desk, but I was there, so I saw it firsthand, and the stories that I saw were just unbelievable. So this was like the day after the election. And this was just one county in Pennsylvania. So we were getting reports from all over the country from different people of all this crazy stuff going on that people swore to. So, it really broke my heart because I had such faith in the electoral process and the voting process and just everything that this country stands for. So I was devastated. I was upset. I didn't know where to kind of go with my life after that and, what direction I was going to go in. And I just felt like we were about to lose our country. I felt like it definitely had been stolen and, for various reasons. So anyway,
Well, can I back up for just a second? I want to
yeah,
ask, like, because for me, being 2020 was
really.
2019, I didn't realize whether I thought I would have said that I was a Democrat probably prior to 2016. I would have voted, he seems like a very intelligent man. I was kind of the same way about Hillary Clinton. Like, I think, whatever, let a woman have a turn. I don't care, whatever. I didn't particularly, I wasn't engaged right now. I would be like, hell no, if you told me it's one of those names, right? But I voted, I got off parole and was able to vote in Texas, voted in 2020. But to my own personal, like what I witnessed just from a distance, whether it was the Fulton County thing where they're pulling the bucket of ballots from underneath the table after they kicked everybody out, or the line with 200,000 straight votes for Joe Biden, or the counties that had more people voting than were registered to vote. These were all very things that were clear to me that were like, there's definitely something going on, and not to mention the COVID mail-in ballot whole deal. I know that like there was a lot more to, and that's just from a distance. So did you notice like were there things that you saw that made it much more crystal clear to you that there was something
Absolutely.
subversive?
I found out. So I was trained by the VP of elections in Lackawanna County, and the guy's name was Lance, and he had to educate me on all the laws because I also worked at the polls. So what I started noticing was that the governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, at the time, he started implementing new laws. I think it was section 27 or something of the PA code where the mail-in ballots were implemented, but it was far before COVID. Far before COVID. So when I started looking into that, I was like, what the hell? Like, was this whole thing planned? Because why would they want to implement mail-in ballots and mail-in voting before COVID even happened? So yeah, I did start seeing stuff, and then I started investigating the Dominion machines, and I started investigating things that were happening in other countries like Venezuela and all these other countries where the Dominion machines were used, and I just started putting two and two together and it just didn't make any sense. And I was out on the campaign trail and not everybody, but there were so many people that supported Trump and they just really made it appear as though nobody did. On the mainstream media. Like if you're just sitting at home watching TV, you would think that everyone in this country hated that man. Okay. But the truth is, if you walk around, like I go outside with my MAGA hat, I know a lot of people that will not because they don't want to get harassed, but I never really have a problem. Nobody ever says shit to me. Okay. And I think that social media has made that whole, I'm getting off topic here, but I think social media has made that a belief of most people where
The megaphone. They've got the megaphone, and we're like over here, like we don't really we have no conservative media. Like even Fox, I don't even watch Fox anymore because they're just like a different version of CNN and NBC and all these people. But they had whether it was, I mean, you think about it from COVID, right? 2020 election, like they just continued that just mockingbird bombardment of you guys are wrong. If you don't follow the COVID protocols, you're going to kill grandma. You're evil people. You're bad people. Then the election, like, oh, you guys are conspiracy theorists. Like it just kind of transferred into a different mode of propaganda. But go ahead. I want to take the floor.
with the whole COVID thing, I started watching what the people that were trying to make the rules were doing, and that really bothered me. Like, Gavin Newsom out in California telling people that, you're going to unalive your grandmother. Yet he's, on vacation in Hawaii and having five-star dinners with his entire family, nomad. Yeah. So I think what they did was actually quite genius. They created the perfect storm. The question that I battled with for a long time is why. And the only thing that I could really come up with is they didn't want to be exposed. And I think that there's other factors. I've heard some theories like Biden had to win so that we could fund the what's it called? Ukrainian war and things, various things like that. So I don't know. That's what I've struggled with the most is why would they do that? Why would they do that to us? Why were we selected? What but at the end of the day, my faith has helped me answer those questions and truth be told, you will always get the answer, but it's not up to you. It's up to God. So I don't even ask myself those questions anymore because it drives me insane.
If we didn't have everything that happened, like the open poor people just pouring across the border, all those people that were like raped and murdered by illegal immigrants, like just all this horrible crap that was going on really woke some people up. Like it really finally sunk in that, like, hey, so, I think you have to go through, and even us, like, and Rob did a good job talking about it at the gathering when he was talking about Job, when he was talking about Daniel in the lion's den, when he was talking about David running on the run, like Joseph getting sold into slavery by his family, getting accused of raping Potiphar's wife, and all these things. Like sometimes you have to go through the fire, right? To become the phoenix, right? I think that's kind of what you have to do. You can't. I don't think. I mean, I think some people are able to like, oh, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to become this super successful, amazing person and do all this fancy stuff. It's never been that for me. The way it's been for me is like how you make a sword. You take the metal and you put it in the fire and you beat the hell out of it and then you quench it and you polish it and you like sharpen it, you grind it down, you beat it. Like that's how my life has been. But I thank God. It says in James, it says, count it all joy when you encounter trials, because then it goes on to talk about all these things that you gain perseverance and all these things from trials. And that's like, it's the testing of your faith. It's the testing of your mettle. It's the testing of your willpower. Are you going to break? Are you going to give up? Are you going to take your own life? What are you going to do? Are you going to get up and fight, or are you going to lay there on the ground? And there was many days that I wanted to lay there on the ground or eat the end of something that would end it all for me. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful that God chose us to be in this fight. I don't wish all the things that happened to you in that fight, but each one of those horrible experiences and horrible things that you endured is a testimony. It's a jewel in your crown that somebody can say, "Hey, what is that?" And when you're like, "This is what that was," and then they're gonna be like, "I went through that too. You got through that. I can get through that. I can keep going. I don't have to give up." And that's what the beauty of this struggle is. And you were an inspiration, and I'm thankful to call you my friend. Sorry, I got emotional.
You're an inspiration. Listen, I always was stuck in perpetual victim mentality, and I always wanted to control everything. And it was through these experiences, things got really bad for me after J6. I literally and like you, I didn't have a perfect life. I listen. I dropped out of high school. I was raped when I was 16 years old. I had a horrible home life. I started working at 14 to buy my own deodorant. Okay, I was running with people I should have never. The whole reason I wound up with my son's father was because I had daddy issues at the time. I never felt like I was good enough. So I found another man that was going to treat me just like my father treated me. And through all these things, though, the homelessness, the DV that I went through, the SA, J6, all of those things, prison, solitary. Like, I was just talking to a friend of mine. I don't know how y'all did that. Like, because they put me in 10 days of solitary. I can't even imagine being in solitary for as long as you guys were. I mean, God bless you, because that will either freaking make you or break you. All that you have, you know what the most ironic thing about this is, Shane, is I think that all of us were selected by God because I don't know what it is about any of us, but I just feel like we were all selected by God to go through what we went through so that we could be prepared to do what we're doing now. And I think
You see that? Like when you did you I saw that when I look at Rob, when I look at you, when I look at Scott, when I look at Meek, when I look at Debbie and Flip, when I look at these,
same. I literally get chills when I look at you guys because
they've got a
everybody's doing
backstory. And they've got like the story of Jason. Like, there's just so much to layered. These are not just like, I mean, they are regular people, but they're beautiful. It's beautiful.
I want to share this with you real quick, Shane. It's a part of the Bible. I found it when I was in jail.
Can we go to break real quick and do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Shane Jenkins with my amazing family and friend, anyhow.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic place in all the land. Hey, I'm here getting cleansed up. You know why? Because Sugar Creek Goods is a great place by patriots, making patriot soaps, making me smell nice. And that's what's nice. Who wants to go down the street and smell of somebody bad in New York City? Hey, by the way, what's this thing for?
250 years ago, a nation was born, built on courage, driven by freedom, defined by patriots who stood their ground. Today, we don't just remember that legacy, we wear it. This is more than a shirt. It's a symbol of strength, freedom, and pride. I'm Steve Stern, COO of theflagshirt.com, and I invite you to celebrate 250 years of the United States with us. Wear your pride, stand for something, get your shirts today.
You know what is more disappointing than Gino Visconti, everyone?
My sex life?
No, bad cell service. Let's make fun of Gino. Oh wait, he's here.
Well, speaking of the opposite of his sex life, these people have towers that are huge and they're everywhere. And while you're traveling, you can use these huge towers. PatriotMobile.com/, it bends to the right, I don't have to tell you, TAFW. And then you can talk about me behind my back.
Patriotic people doing patriotic things.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
Agara coffee. Why? Because it increases focus.
This is T-Mac, the Patriot, and I love Patriot products like Sugar Creek Goods. Check it out today on our website.
It's me, Joe the Box, and I'm John the Blanket with the America First podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino podcast coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome, everybody, to the James Justice Show, tearing these airwaves apart with all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Welcome to the Patriots podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Red, Right, and True.
We are streaming live on America First Media and Television app.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
Okay, this is Shane Jenkins. I'm back with Liberty's Cage with Anyhow. This is segment 3, and you were going to tell a story, I think, from the Bible. So take it off.
Yeah, so we were just at an event this weekend, and Lego Man was quoting certain stories of the Bible that we all identified with quite well. But Shane and I were just talking about being prepared by God, and that's possibly why we went through what we went through. And there was a part that I found, like, I was never religious. I was Christian growing up. I was always told to get right with Jesus, but I never had a relationship with Jesus. I didn't know what I believed. I never felt Jesus in my life, in my heart, like nothing until after all this stuff happened. And there was a part when I was in solitary and I was in my cell and I was reading the Bible. It said, "Do not be afraid of what you're about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Be faithful, even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown." Now, I was sentenced to 10 days of intermittent confinement, and I couldn't move for 6 hours after I read that. I was just bawling like a baby. You understand? And listen, you guys all got picked up and whatever. I was ripped. I don't know. People are like, "Oh, well, that's better than being in jail for 4 years." And I agree. But listen to this, Shane. Being ripped out of society every 20 days, being put into solitary And like, that's what caused me to lose everything because I couldn't do my business. I was gone for 10 days out of the month. Then I couldn't get a job. Like, even I was offered a job at EFO as a manager, even after the indictment and everything. They were willing to hire me, but I couldn't take the position because it was salary. And how the fuck am I going to explain to them, oh, well, I have to go to jail the first of the 10th of every month? You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't get a job. And then all the platforms took my platforms, YouTube, Facebook. I was monetized. I had a huge platform and following then. They took all that from me. And then the rest of them all fucking, what's it called? Blacklisted me. Even eBay, Etsy. All right. I couldn't do anything. Nothing. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart. I'm a terrorist.
Well, see, and I wanted to say this as you were saying that. I'm thinking like, yeah, you did 10 days at a time, but this is not everybody's story. This is Annie's story, right? And what I want to try to the picture I try to let you paint is you're living your life. You went to a rally, the cops were attacking people, things got out of hand, whatever. But then, like, you're getting jerked out of your, like you're saying, getting taken. You have a child. You're leaving home you get 20 days out, 10 days in, 20 days out, 10 days in. There's no semblance of normalcy. I'm sure the day you got out, you're already looking to like, well, when's my 20 days up?
It was so much anxiety because you knew it was like this continuous feeling of impending doom. Because like, okay, I'm out, but I have to go back in 20 days.
Didn't they ban you from social media as well? Like you couldn't speak out about what you
I wasn't allowed on social media. It was part of my conditions. So, and also, Shane, I'm the only person in the history of this country that was ever sentenced to 10 days of intermittent confinement at a time. Ever. I'm also the only
sentence, like in my other prison sentences that I've done in my life.
Right?
But no.
They're like, oh, that's not bad. It's like weekends. No, that's not how
this is my thing. Like for somebody who's done time, that sounds great. But to a civilian, somebody who's living their life and raising a child and operating businesses, doing like what you do, that's freaking traumatic. That is
right. No criminal record, never, nothing.
So let's kind of get into some detail. What happened specifically on January 6th?
So I went down a couple of days before. I had driven down 3 other people. We planned it. I later found out that one of the people that I drove down was an FBI informant.
When you say planned it, you planned to overthrow the U.S. government? Was that?
No.
Okay. I was like,
no.
Planned to go to a rally?
We planned to go to a rally, and
okay.
We had hoped. Yeah, we had hoped. Guys, just so everybody knows, we didn't know each other. Like nobody knew each other. Like they all thought that we were like these tyrannical, anarchists that
we're going
that literally had like telegram groups and like orchestrated all of this. Lego Man, I just have to tell my audience this. Lego Man, they took his Lego set from his house. That's why he's called Lego Man. He just loves Legos. He had a Lego set of the Capitol, and they thought it was a blueprint. They thought that the calendar that my son had made was some sort of evidence. It was just unbelievable. But yeah,
did you know that the Lego set? So this is the crazy part. They released to the media that Lego Man is a trained Army Ranger. He used a Lego set to orchestrate the insurrection overthrowing of the U.S. government. But when they took the Lego set out of his house, it had never been taken out of the cellophane plastic wrapper. It's not that you could plan an insurrection with the Lego set because none of the doors are accurate on it or anything like that. But not only that, it had never been put together, never been taken out of the box, never fully opened. So
this is so wild to me. It's so wild to me. I mean, they actually photographed me, Shane, the night before at one of the block parties that I was at. And I guess there was like, a bunch of dudes from Proud Boys there. So they took pictures of me with them and said that I was part of the group. And yeah.
You were part of the seditionists.
Yes. Yeah. Right next to Enrique.
For those people who don't understand how this works, like you can't take over. You can't just you couldn't just trespass in the Capitol and be like, we've seized the flag. The government is now ours. There's nothing you can do about it. That's not.
None of us took firearms. None of us took any of that. We had flagpoles. That was it.
Yeah, so it's not even legitimate. But go ahead.
So we just really wanted to go, and I think back then I was very attached to the whole MAGA movement, the feeling of community, There was a sense of unity. I wanted to be with everyone. It was coming to an end because of what happened with the election. And our president asked us to come. So I looked at it that way, like, I get to go. I had Secret Service clearance too at the time. So I was only 2 rows back. I sat next to Lindell, freaking my pillow guy. Bryson gave me his seat. The guy that goes, the guy that writes MAGA Steppin' and Donald Trump is your president. Yeah, so he gave me a seat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I sat 2 rows back at the ellipse. And I don't know, we had no ill intention. The only reason why we even were like careful, so all of DC was under a curfew then, and we kind of had to be in, I don't know if you remember that, we had to be in by like 8 o'clock at night or something, the days even leading up to J6. And yeah, so I mean, of course, we were drinking, we were having a good time down there, we were just interacting with one another. It wasn't until after Trump's speech that we had felt that there was like a shift in the atmosphere that day, for me at least. Everybody was so loving and happy, and there was like laughter and peace in the air, and we were having a good time. It was after that, though, when I believe it was when Mike Pence was like, we're certifying it, is when the atmosphere had somewhat changed. But I didn't get to the Capitol until after it was already like infiltrated. So,
as you say that, I'm thinking about this, and you really just kind of prior to Mike Pence saying, it was on the table that they could send these, because this was the deal. We talked about the election fraud earlier. Most of these swing states, the 5 states really that were in question, were only won by like 8 to 12, 13,000 votes. And in a states with millions of people, that's a very, very fine margin, right? It's not very much. Now, to put us back in the frame of mind, MAGA's kind of losing hope. We're there, we're in protesting in support of the congressmen and senators who are going to object to the certification of the fraudulent election.
Correct.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me add this real quick. So I had all of those dudes on speed dial. I forget, Dan Muser, everybody from PA. Okay, there was a few of them. Yeah. I talked to them on the way down. Hey, are you going to speak up and speak out about what we found in PA? And they were like, oh, yes, we're on board. And then when all of that stuff was going down, they were cowards. They ducked and ran and hid and said use lethal force. Okay. So for me, it was a very eye-opening experience. Like, all of these guys are snakes. All of these guys are snakes. Maybe they're in on it. That's how I felt. I don't know about you.
Politically, when you start to bleed, like when you start to be bad for the movement, then you're no longer bleeding. It costs them politically to affiliate with you. And I think that's the beauty of Donald Trump, and it's the danger of Donald Trump. Like, if you're with him, he's going to ride with you even to his detriment. And he has stuck with us to his detriment. Even like last week, still bringing up the weaponization fund again in regards to them confirming Todd Blanche and Tom Tillis and John Cornyn opposing his wanting to compensate J6ers for what they went through. But go ahead.
Just a quick question for you. Do you think that that's ever going to come to fruition?
I do believe we're 90 days from the midterms. Like, this is like, I guarantee you Susie Wiles and the rest of his anti-J6 cabinet were in there like, oh God, what is he talking about January 6th for in this damn weaponization fund? I was told by people that are close to Trump that when we were going through what we were going through, that man would lose sleep at night about it. He felt horrible about it and probably felt, loosely responsible for it, even though he wasn't. We're adults and I make my own decisions. But I believe as long as there is breath in President Trump's lungs, that is going to be on the agenda. I think the safest way to make that happen would be to do it after the midterms, because at that point you're on the way out anyways. 2 more years and you're gone. There's no more midterm after that. So get it done then, is what I would say. There is already a mechanism within the federal government to compensate people that the government has harmed. I think the way what's crazy to me is they were objecting to the way the mechanism was going to be funded to compensate us.
Yeah.
I've talked to what he needs to do, what he should do is drop $1.8 billion in Stand in the Gap. And then we can create a way to categorize harms that you receive.
No, you're the only legitimate nonprofit organization for J6ers. That's amazing. Guys, in case you weren't here in the beginning, I have to tell you, Shane's foundation not only helped me once, but twice. Twice he helped me. So I just really am grateful for that. And so, as I continue to grow and rise, I'm going to make sure that that money goes back into the foundation.
I started that 2 years. It's my honor to serve. Like,
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. People at the warehouse are always asking me, Gino, you show up smelling like freedom every day, even though you live in the cesspool that is the socialist New York City. How do you do it? Sugar Creek Goods. Sugar Creek Goods is made by patriots and has a full line of incredible products, including soaps and lotions, and even this that you use for your dog, Patriot Puffs. My wife makes me use that. But people, please, get your own. Go to sugarcreekgoods.com/TAFW. See ya.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Hey, Paul, I was having a pillow fight with Gino's wife.
Me too.
Yeah.
She's not supposed to stay up that late.
I have the video. And now let me tell you, talk about soft. When I think soft pillows, I think of other than Gino's wife, mypillow.com, because these are the best pillows you're ever going to get. You can go to mypillow.com /TAFW. Go now, get your My Pillow right now.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today.
I got to tell you, a lot of my followers are asking, hey, Midnight, where are you getting all that energy from? I say, you want to know the truth? I take about 25 milligrams of Adderall a day. But that eventually ends, and then that's where a Gara coffee comes in. I start drinking this stuff, and it boosts my energy. It shoots me right through to the moon. If you're not drinking a Gara coffee and you need that extra boost during the middle of the day, I'm telling you right now, get this into your system, and I promise you that it will absolutely take you to a whole nother level. Midnight, I am out. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
Joined the prison ministry as a resident. 6 months later, was hired on staff, became familiar with the operations of nonprofit organizations. Didn't get tangled up in January 6th, but I started this because we had been in DC jail for 2 years and they were denying us visits. We were getting 2 years no religious services, 1 year no haircuts, 1 year no fingernail clippers. And so after the 2 years was up, Troy Nels came and managed to get us visits. And so we're 2 years into this thing. The government's crushing us from the top. We're not getting access to our families and stuff like that. And so, after Troy Nels comes inside the jail and talks to all of us, the next week they put a IOC, an interoffice communication, on the wall, and it says, C2B, which was us, the Patriot Pod, the Insurrectionist Pod, whatever side you were on is what they called it. Y'all are getting visits. And so now we're like, well, Mom, this is the way I look at it. Mama Bear's at home raising the baby bears and going to work and doing her job and this stuff. She's been operating, on one income for 2 years. Daddy's been in jail. Papa Bear's been in jail. So visitation's on a Friday. It's 1 hour, which it's a school day and it's a work day, and it's all the way in Washington, D.C. For me, I'm in Houston, Texas. It's 1,000 miles. A lot of guys from Florida, a lot of people from Pennsylvania. It's not just, Washington, D.C. is not just around the corner, really, for anybody. There's some people from Virginia and stuff like that, but that was the exception, not the rule, right? And so we decided to start raising money. We started a thing called Operation Love Wins, and this was what precluded the starting of the foundation. But Sarah Maccabee and I started a Give Send Go, an LLC called The Real J6. If you go to therealj6.com, it's still up. The foundation is standinthegap.foundation. But we were like, love wins. We're going to pay for people were donating frequent flyer miles. They were donating money. We met some people in DC, Sarah did, that had Airbnbs that if Annie, if you were in jail and your family was coming to see you, they would block out the time so your family could stay at the Airbnb for free. They wouldn't charge us. But the American people really rallied behind us. And through that, Operation Love Wins, we were able to reconnect 75 different families, which then when we saw that we were getting taxed on that money, and we're like, well, we need this to be poured into a nonprofit. That way they can't tax us on it. But I'll never forget, I just tell this one story, and this is how I knew this is what I needed to be doing was Billy Cressman. He's from Kansas City. He's a proud boy, and we were going to visit, and we had paid for his wife and his daughter. I think it was his ex-wife and his daughter to come see him. And this little girl was like 5 years old. And I'm sitting there and Billy's like 6 feet away from me in a chair waiting for his family to come through the door. And his little daughter comes through the door and she sees him and she just goes, "Daddy." And she takes off running and like jumps in his arms. And I was just like, damn. I got to be a part of that because nobody could afford to get up there, but we paid for his family. And then to see his little girl run and jump in his arms, it just like broke my heart. But I was like, I know this is what I need to be doing. This is like, I don't have to help people. I get to help people. So it's an honor for me. I know this is what God wants me to do, is to serve and to help people and to pour myself out so other people can heal and get where they need. That's just we're called to serve. That's what Jesus is the ultimate servant leader. He came and he laid down his life for us to have eternity in union with God. That's the bar that he said. So that's what I just feel like that's what we get to do, and it's an honor to serve in that capacity. And we're like way over time on this segment. We should keep going. So I just wanted to say that it's an honor to do what I do, and it is the coolest job in the world because I get you could see, and I'm sad that you don't necessarily get like the bond that Mink and Fairlam and Rob and I have, because that's like I feel close to you. Don't get me wrong. But like those guys are like, we were in and like locked in the same room basically
I know.
for years together almost. So we like know everything about each other.
I don't know if I told you this or if I told Lego this. Like it was cool to see all of you guys together, but it also made me a little sad because I didn't have that. Like I was so happy when I heard that people were writing to y'all. I was so happy to hear that y'all were together singing the national anthem at 9 o'clock every night. Like that really made me so happy, but it also made me sad because I'm like, well, like at the same, like the old me, I would have been like, well, everybody forgot about me, but like that's not how I look at it. I'm happy for you guys. And listen, just because I wasn't for me, just because I wasn't in there with y'all, I still thought about you guys every day even before I knew you, and I still feel just as close as you probably feel to them, even without being there. And the thing for me too is there wasn't a lot of other female J6ers. So
we all suffered for the same, and so just because we weren't in the same jail, we suffered for the most part the same. So I want you to like see what we got to see Saturday. Like that is the beauty of this, and like the more like the next time you see those people, it's going to be the same way. It's like I feel my heart just filled with like I feel like my heart's been like shattered, right? And I feel like there's pieces of it that are missing. And every time I get to go around my bros and my sisters and know that they're okay and hear what's going on in their lives, I feel like a little bitty shard of my heart is being put back together and put in there. So
I gotta tell you, like when I met Lego and then when I met you, it felt like holes had been patched in my heart because here's the thing too, guys. A lot of these guys were locked up for 4 years. I wasn't, but I remained on federal probation, and I was suffering for much of that with homelessness and addiction and DV and all these other things going on in my life and custody issues. It was just a hellish time. But part of my conditions was I wasn't allowed to be on platforms. I wasn't allowed to talk about politics, my passion. So they took my passion away. They took my livelihood away. They took my reputation, my family away, lost my entire family. But the thing that bothered me most was that they told me I couldn't talk to other J6ers because it violated the terms of my probation. So it wasn't even like I could write
codependent.
Yes, we were all considered co-defendants, so it wasn't even like I could write these guys when they were in prison when I was home or anything. Like I couldn't extend support. My mom for years, my mom's the one that told me she wanted me to move on with my life. She didn't want me speaking out against it and things like that. She wanted me to calm down. Because I was in the media so much. Like, they put me on the front page 16 times, Shane. She has every newspaper clipping. Okay, so it was...
to the J6 stuff, like...
Yeah, and thereafter. I mean, I violated probation because I kept testing hot for things because I was in the streets and they almost... I was a mess. I had a nervous breakdown. I mean, I lost everything that I and who I was. I had no idea who I was anymore. Yeah, she saved every newspaper article, but my mother is the one that encouraged me. And like, I would say about a year and a half ago, she was like, now that you're pardoned, actually, it was right after the pardon. She said, now that you're pardoned, I think you really need to start connecting with those people. And
came
she's
around
like,
finally.
yeah, because she was like, there's only 1,500 of you. And she's like, and there's only 600. She was the one that informed me of this. There's only 650 of you that actually went to prison. Yeah. So she's like, those are your people. Those are
less than that, honestly. So did you know, I was crunching some numbers when this weaponization thing came out, and the numbers came back and told me that 1,200 of the 1,600 people that were arrested only did one, just got booked and didn't even stay in jail. You did more than 1 day in jail, you're in the top 25% of...
I'm in the top 25% then. Yeah. They also sent me to rehab. So like,
I don't know. That's a yay thing.
I had to go to rehab in between my 20-day things because if I didn't do that, they were going to max me out, meaning that I was going to have to do the remaining 3 years in federal prison. So I went to rehab for like 90 days, I think it was. It was like a federal state or federally ran rehab, like because I was technically considered an inmate. So I had to go there. Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal.
Well, so to kind of shift gears, did you get through? So you got 9 months, right? Was what you got?
So I got 60 days of intermittent confinement. So it spanned over 6 months. But because I was messing up so bad and getting high and everything, it wound up being closer to a year that it took.
You dragged it a little bit.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah, I mean, it happens. I don't think I've ever completed probation successfully.
My PO honestly saved my life at that point because I had come up hot 8 times. Like I couldn't stay sober.
You only get like 1 or 2 of those in your...
Yeah, no, 8 times she let me go. And then the final time she's like, Eddie, I'm going to lock you up for 3 years. You need to go to rehab. And I was like, okay,
Right away. I'm on it.
Yeah.
So you successfully completed your 6 months of a 1 year.
Yes, I did. And then I was also court ordered to mental health treatment twice a week. I had to sit with a therapist. I was also ordered to drug and alcohol counseling for 3 years. Okay. And I had to do community service and restitution.
Okay. Well, so you successfully completed. It sounds like you went through, I hope that those, and I think you've been through some things prior to this, and I think hopefully going through therapy and going through drug and alcohol treatment helped you learn some things about yourself that will be useful for the rest of your life. So I would be remiss if we didn't discuss your book before we get off of here, and I want to know, like, so we've talked about J6, kind of what it cost you, what you suffered through, without getting too specific, because you can read about all that in the book. Let's talk about your book, and let's talk about what I'm just listening to your experience, whether it was knocking doors with your mom or whether it was like bringing young people to get registered to vote or like on the campaign stuff. Like you're going to be an arrow in somebody's quiver, like an ass, like you're a weapon waiting to be used. And I don't know where this journey is taking you, but I'm excited to get to spectate and watch it. So I want to hear like I want to hear about the book, but I want to hear what you're doing now and where you think this journey, where you would like to see it go and maybe where you see it going in the future. But
Boy, so I've changed the book title 3 times. Most recently, I'll tell everyone, because I already announced it, it's going to be called The Rise of the Phoenix. And then I'm going to put something under it with like my name and perhaps something regarding J6 too. But, the undertitle. The book is primarily about my life. The first like 15 chapters are what led to J6 and what made me me and the type of person. I mean, I'm listing every piece of dirty laundry. It's kind of like it's a redemption story, right? But it's also a way to make amends and take accountability for things that I've done in my life, and also angels that have entered my life. I want to give recognition to them because there was many people that, like, for example, when I was really young, 14 years old, I started working at this hot dog place that my aunt had worked at. And so I knew these women, and they bought my semi-formal gown for me, and they took me shopping for school clothes, So I want to give recognition to those people who shaped me and helped me throughout my life. But I talk about everything. My primary thing in my life right now is be genuine, be as genuine as I can be, because I think that for me, I struggled with who I was, even going back to a young age. I used to lie about how old I was. I used to tell people I was 2 years older than I actually was because I was hanging out with older people. Because I never felt like anybody could ever relate to me because of the things that I went through in my life, and I started doing drugs and alcohol at a really young age, and I just did not know where I fit in anywhere, and so a lot of it is about that and struggles. Something really terrible happened to my dad. Yeah.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you about your dad, but I want to say there's some you can't use these against me anymore. The lying, the cheating, the stealing, the whatever I was doing.
Shane, that's really what this is about for me. It started off with politics, but then it turned into something much deeper. And I think that as J6ers, every single one of us could use this experience to try to heal part of the nation. And when I say part of the nation, I mean people in the nation, because it's the people who make up the nation. And exactly. In terms of a direction,
You were as I said, say something about your dad. I don't want.
So there's a lot of traumatic things that happened in my life. One of them was my father got stabbed and almost died. And the ironic part is I had a dream about it 3 months before it happened, and it happened. And what's really funny? So I wound up having to go back to jail like 2.5 years ago for child support because my son's father had established child support against me. And because I was like in and out of jail and homeless and everything, I had accrued and I had nothing, Shane. I lost everything. I had nothing, absolutely nothing. I couldn't pay support. I could barely fucking eat. And so they wound up locking me up for 45 days for child support. And do you know who I was in jail with when they locked me up for 45 days? This is how funny God is. The woman that stabbed my father. The cell right next to me. The cell right next to me. Yep. Sure as fuck.
Have her back, or
honey, do you know how much patience and prayer? I mean, she wound up moving blocks because she found out who I was, and I was literally still on probation for J6. Like,
right, you can't afford.
So it was one of those things, but I just laughed about that. So now, like, instead of saying why me, I say, like, this is hilarious. Like, I literally give so much credit to God for a sense of humor. I think it's so funny. Like, even yesterday, driving home from the event, like, my car's overheating. My phones both got wet, okay, because I'm outside in a tsunami trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with my car. My charger port, okay, I couldn't even charge my phone. My shit's about to die, and I'm just sitting there laughing like, yo, God is fucking hilarious. God is humbling me and testing me right now, okay? And I just sat there laughing.
Kevin Gates. Do you listen to Kevin Gates?
Yeah, I love Kevin.
He's like, why not? He's like, some people say, why me? Why me? He's like, why not me?
I'm built for this shit.
I'm built different. Yeah, that's right. That's right, and you are.
Yeah, but. So I don't know, Shane. I just want to help people. That's the direction. Wherever God sees fit, I look forward to growing my relationship with you, with Lego Man, with all these other people that are being put in my life. I just had a director reach out to me that did Scars on the Mount, and it's #1. He reached out to me wanting me to kind of promote the film for him because he thought it would resonate with my audience, because I do a lot of redemption stories. I want to try to help young women get off OF. I want to help people get out of DV situations, SA situations. Anybody that I just want to educate people. I think that we all have a duty especially to talk to the youth and kind of like, especially since Charlie's gone, I said this the other day. I think it's like people like us that need to be going to these college campuses saying, hey, this is what happened to us. It could happen to you too. Okay. If we don't protect.
We don't have a DV or like a, pulling women out of the sex industry branch of Stand in the Gap yet. We might need like a coordinator, director of, sexual whatever industry.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I was saying, I'm throw it out there until you get ready to start your own nonprofit. Then we can help you do that too. But I think there is, I think that shows the character of who you are. Do you gotta get off here at 3? You got a 3 o'clock. I have a 3 o'clock meeting, so
I know you do.
Too. But I want to say that shows the type of person that you are. Is you go through this experience and you look at all the things that have happened to you. And my story's kind of similar. Like I got a crazy backstory, a lot of bad stuff in there, but I think that shows who you are instead of getting up and staying that resentful, angry, bitter, victim mentality type person. You want to say, man, you know what? You get up and you dust yourself off, and you're like, I made it. I made it out. I rose from the ashes, right? The phoenix. I'm still alive. And like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back and I'm going to reach down into the pit, into the fire, and I'm going to pull somebody else out. And I'm going to keep pulling people out until there's no more breath in my lungs. And I think that shows the type of character and the type of person and the type of woman, the type of America and the type of patriot that you are, is you want to help pull people out of the muck and the mire and the misery and the evil and the sin and the debauchery and all this. Like, it shows who you are. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful to my phone's ringing too.
Mine too.
Thankful to call you my sister, my fellow J6 y'all. We got to get off here. This is going to wrap it up. My gosh, for Liberty's Cage. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning.
Bye.